All right, topic 39, circle basics. There are some formulas you need to remember for this topic. First of all, make sure you know the difference between circumference and area of a circle. Circumference is 2 pi r, or twice the radius times pi, whereas area is pi r squared, or the radius squared times pi. Also, if we have to deal with a problem that has to do with arc length, remember we did this in topic 38, but we have to know the central angle divided by 360 is proportional to the arc length over the total circumference of the circle. Whereas if we have a problem involving a sector, we're going to take the central angle divided by 360, set that equal to the area of the sector over the total area of the circle. Okay, so remember, make sure you know those four formulas. Okay, so 39A. A circle has a circumference of 30 pi centimeters. What is its area? Well, you could do this in your head or use a formula to solve for the radius. If we know the circumference of a circle is 30 pi, one way to deal with this is setting up an equation where we know twice the radius times pi, or 2 pi r, has to be equal to 30 pi. Well, these pi's can both cancel, and so we get 2r equals 30, we get radius equals 15. Now if you can do this mentally, that's great. Looking at this, you can tell that the radius has to be 15, or setting up this equation if that makes you more comfortable. Either way, you should get the radius as 15. Now, after we get the radius, now we can find the area of the circle just by plugging in 15 into the radius. So we take 15 squared and multiply it by pi, so the area is 225 pi centimeters squared. Okay. Second problem, part B. Kind of going backwards. This time we are giving you the area of the circle is 49 pi. Well, remember, the area is pi r squared. So again, if mentally you can look at this and say, oh, that's just r squared, radius has to be 7. Or write out an equation. Okay, the equation, pi r squared is equal to 49 pi. That means r squared has to be 49, or r is 7. Once we get our radius, we take that, and they're asking for our circumference. So remember, the formula for the circumference is 2 pi r. Substitute in 7 for the radius. And then we just simply multiply 2 times 7, which is 14. So the answer for the circumference is 14 pi centimeters. Okay. Part C. Should be C. Okay, find the radius of each circle below. Okay, so the first one, we have the radius was not labeled, so if they say find the radius, I'm going to label that r. Notice we have 16 pi centimeters squared, so that tells me that's representing this sector, the area of the sector, the shaded region. And 160 is the central angle, so I'm going to be using my formula for the area of the sector. So remember, we take 160 divided by 360. That has to be proportional to the area of the sector over the unknown total area. Now I wrote pi r squared, since I don't know the radius. Now this looks confusing, but remember, simplify if you can. These pi's can cancel. Okay, and then we just simply cross multiply and solve, and we end up getting r equals 6. So do make sure you know how to solve that proportion. Try that on your own. Make sure you know how to solve that. Okay, the second circle. We have the radius is unknown, central angle is given to be 80. Notice I have labeled outside the circle 4 pi centimeters. Since this is linear units and it's bolded here, this is telling me it's the arc length. The portion of the circumference here is 4 pi. So that means I'm going to be using the arc length formula. So we take our central angle, 80, divided by 360. Okay, so 80 over 360 has to be proportional to the arc length over the total circumference, 2 pi r. Again, don't make these, pi's look confusing, but again, we should have a pi and a pi cancel. So we just get 4 over 2r equals 80 over 360, cross multiply and solve. R should be equal to 9 pi. Okay. So there's a few problems here for you to try. Pause the video and try A, B, and C. And check your solutions. A is either a decimal or a fraction, either way. B is 20 pi. And C, we have 6 centimeters and 36 centimeters.